welcome again to Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor. And if you're watching today, I know you know this guy. The question is, do you know me? And I've got a whole new audience today, I guarantee you, that don't know who I am. So I'm going to do a little introduction. Of course, Rick Semmler. Thanks so much, first of all.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah. So in my retired years, a couple of years ago, I decided to do something with my time. So I developed a little YouTube channel called Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor. And basically I sit down back in our Martin County areas and talk to people who have had a positive impact. And just let our neighbors find out about their neighbors, right? So one thing's led to another. And Rick, you're my 75th.
Wow.
Getting to Know.
I've seen, not all of them, but I've seen several of them.
Yeah, 75 of them in the last 2 years. So that just tells you there's some amazing people. And as you can see, I travel on occasion. So we're in the basement of Rick Semmler's house. And he's got some time these days, you know. And we don't want to make light of that, but you and I have talked.
My family jokes around about it.
Yeah, so here we are. And I know you know the situation. And the reason I'm here today is, first of all, we did agree to this over a year ago.
Yes.
But we just haven't been able to get back together. But when this all popped up, and what I saw, Rick, when I saw the amazing outpour of love, of support, of anger, right? I mean, there was anger in your situation 1 week ago today. Got back with Rick and said, you know, hey, Rick, maybe now's not a good time. But Rick said, that's fine. You know, anytime is a good time. So I appreciate that. So my name is Greg Bateman, and Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor is my YouTube channel. And I live in Lagodi and do sports for Lagodi Lions. So just a quick introduction of me, but that's enough of me.
Oh.
So Rick, we're going to, if you've watched these before, you know that I start from beginning to end, but we're going to go a little bit different. We'll get to know Rick a lot better in just a little bit. But like, Rick, I think a lot of people are interested in a week ago today.
Yes.
What time of the morning was it?
I had dropped I take my kids two of my three kids to school every morning, and got an unexpected phone call from my news director at 7:50 saying I needed to come in for a emergency mandatory.
So you don't normally get these?
No, I don't usually come in at that time of day, and obviously knew something wasn't right.
Yeah. At most places when this happens, because obviously it's not uncommon, unfortunately, but there's rumors, there's you know, people are worried about these things. Was this completely out of the blue for you?
Completely out of the blue. Had no idea. So the more I talked to some of my former employees, so I guess maybe some higher ups hadn't gotten wind that it might happen, but like I had no idea about it. Not that they were trying to hide anything, just.
Do you care to share a little bit of that conversation and maybe your immediate reaction?
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine.
Not a problem. Like I said, I got the phone call. I just dropped my kids off, and you know, I got ready because I usually don't get ready that time of morning at 8 a.m. It's just not. I usually go in later in the afternoon and got ready, and I talked to my wife, and she's like, "I'm sure everything's fine." And I was like, I just knew, like, you know, when gut feeling, I said it's not going to go well. So, and she's like, "You sure?" And I was like, "No, it's just." I said, "I'm pretty sure just going to get fired or like." And she's like, "There's no way." And so I went in and met with my news director, and she was like, "We need to go upstairs to the conference room to meet with the general manager." And I mean, I still knew what was going to happen. So, and I walked in, and just my general manager, he's just like, you know, it's a bad day. Like, I mean, and he's like, you know, corporate is doing layoffs, and your job has been eliminated.
Wow.
I mean, what do you say? I mean. But I've told this, and this is not a lie. I was okay with it. Like, and I've said it before. There's a mixture of reasons I'm okay with it. One of the biggest reasons, 21 years here in this area, and I'm not kidding. I gave this area everything I had for 21 years, and I have no regrets.
Yeah. Well, with that outpouring of love, I think that you were shocked. You were surprised. You knew that people enjoyed and appreciated what you did.
Yeah.
But at that level, you know, he didn't die, you know, right? I mean, it's one of those things where, like what you say at an obituary.
Yes.
There's going to be moving forward. It's going to be really good. But what message would you have to those people who now, you know, in legions supported you, loved you, appreciated you so much, and still do? Yeah.
A multitude of messages here. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart. My wife, we saw the messages, we read them. Like, when I got let go, and I said before, like, my GM was a little teary-eyed. Like, he brought me to Channel 10. Like, you know, and I gave him a hug and said thank you for everything. I wasn't teary-eyed about it. Like, I did get teary-eyed a few times in the last week because I had people messaging me, like, remember he covered me, like, in 2005 and sent me a picture of, like an event I covered, or like they gave me all these, and like it wasn't like I was sad. It was just like, man, that was an awesome time, or this was an awesome time. So the message to everybody was like, I feel like the Wabash Valley just gave the Semmler family last week a big old hug, and it meant the world to us. That they reached out, because I've always said, and this is ironic, I did TV for 22 years, and not once did I ever do it to be on TV.
Right.
I had to be on TV to do my job.
Right.
But I loved going to games, being at sporting events, meeting the athletes, meeting the families, meeting you. I mean, meet a variety of people. There's so many awesome people in the Wabash Valley. And like I always said, I covered 53 high schools. It's like 10 counties we cover or something. Every county I have friends in, and I loved going to those areas and meeting everybody.
Yeah, but what's different, because all Channel 2 does that, and they provide good coverage too, don't get me wrong.
No.
You know, and great people. But what's different about Rick Semmler, where those relationships develop? Because you would come to Lagodi, you'd have a host of friends. You'd go to Montgomery, you'd have a host of friends. But what is it about you think, that attracted you in that way?
And like you said, I want to say this real fast. There was some negative things that came out last week about me being let go. And I said this, like...
Negative? It was anger.
Especially in like the Terre Haute TV markets and all that. There's a lot of great people still working here.
Right.
Like, just support them in journalism, like that kind of... Like, I understand the frustration, but like, don't get mad at the people still doing it. They didn't make the decision to let me go, and still support them very, very much. They do a great job. And a lot of them are my friends still. And I want to see them do good, honestly. In terms of why I guess I feel people like me, I'm just a straight shooter. Like when I show up at something, they know I'm not doing something 50%. It's 100% in. So if I'm coming to a game, and it could be a Lagodi softball game, like, I'm covering the best highlights I can. I'm not just there to get a couple highlights and leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm there. Everything I go to, I invest 100%. I'm 44 years old, and my wife will tell you she feels like I'm 14 years old still with my enthusiasm. Yeah. Like, I don't do anything like quietly or this. I'm a very enthusiastic person. The other thing I think people know is, and you know, when there's been issues in towns and this and that, like, I don't believe in like running from things or doing, like, I'll be a voice for you and I'll stick up for you if it's right. I'm always going to do what's right, whether it's popular or not, and whether people like me for it or not. I'm going to do what's right. And like, I've never sought people's attention or approval, because I believe in doing the right thing. And when you do the right thing, people will respect you for that.
Yeah. So the next chapter in your life, you know, in an interview, you're asking people, where do you think you are going to be in 5 years from now? All right.
Now I'm in that spot.
3 months from now, Rick Semmler, 3 to 6 months from now, ideally, what would you like to be doing?
That is a wonderful question, because since a week ago today, I've had 8, I don't say official job offers, but companies reaching out asking what avenue I want to go. Right. I would like to stay in sports. Now, as it TV, I've had 3 TV stations reach out, different TV stations. Do you still want to do it? Like I said, I loved what I do. My concern is, and you're around it, the TV business is like, as a whole, is struggling because of the way the world is today.
Right, exactly. Like
social media, online stuff. So I don't know if I want to do the TV route anymore. I've been pursued about start your own YouTube channel of covering sports. Do a podcast only. Social media stuff really interests me. For teams and that kind of stuff. I've had friends pursue, like you've done it for so long, of being an athletic director, getting in that realm. Like, that might interest. Like I said, I'd like to do something sports. I just don't know what avenue it is yet, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, think of it. Think of this. If you had a 9 to 5.
I don't know if I know what to do.
No?
I don't know. You were asking. My wife's a nurse, and she's worked 7 at night to 7 a.m. For 20 years.
Right.
I've worked officially my schedule 3 to midnight, so we've never done dayside. Like, I didn't know 7 a.m. existed till my kids started school. So, like, I don't know if I could do just a 9 to 5 job.
No, probably not. Especially if you stay in sports and cover school.
Which, as you know, sports all happen usually at night. So.
Okay. All right. So what else do you want to know, folks? What else do you want to tell them before we kind of move on and hopefully people see that you're at peace with this and that you're going to be fine. The Wabash Valley still wants you, so we'll see you. But anything else about either last week or going forward before we start from the ground up with Rick Semmler?
Like I said, the big thing is, one important thing to me is, and I couldn't put it in, I posted that goodbye message, but like, please support the media here, and the outside areas too as well. The radio guys, the newspaper guys, but especially the people I worked with in Terre Haute, the Patrice Daytons, Rondrell Moores, Kevin Orperitz, even, and I say this, I worked at WTWO for 6 years. Jesse Walker, still a dear friend of mine. Dana Winklepleck, the Trip Star has their guys, and Joe Garza and Todd Gold. They all do phenomenal work. Please support them and don't show any ill will towards them. None of them had a decision in getting rid of me. And the other thing I do want to say is, and I hope I think you do know this from the message I got. Like I said, I covered 53 high schools, or that was our coverage area.
Yeah. Okay.
And like the Terre Haute schools generally got more coverage, but I made it a point, and it was very, very important to me that every school got coverage. Like, and that include Shoals. Did they maybe only get it 4 or 5 times a year?
Right.
Yes, but they still got coverage.
Yes.
Like when Turkey Run was around, it was a tiny school. They still got coverage. The KZ Westfields of the world over in Illinois, Robinson, Sullivan gets a decent amount of cut. Like, it was important to me for everybody to get coverage. Yeah. Nothing, I don't want to say like hurt my feelings, but bothered me more when a school didn't think they got coverage. I wanted to give everybody the coverage they deserve.
Yeah. But now we people in our little pocket of the world are worried that we won't get that coverage anymore. Because I think that when you became sports director and it was kind of your gig, it was your mission, like you just said,
Yes.
to get out to all those schools. I'm not sure it was like that before or with other stations. So yeah, we're worried about our little pocket, getting that coverage.
You're right. It was like I said, the GM who had to let me go was the one. I didn't apply for the job at TH. I didn't even know it was open.
Yeah.
Like, he called me at home, like, did private interviews. No one knew what was going to happen. And he's like, basically, here's the keys to Sports 10. Fix the problem. Do whatever you want to do. And it was my mission to get everything done. And I'm really proud, not of my work, but just what got accomplished and who got covered. Because I tell the story all the time. I'm a Brownsburg grad. And the indie TV stations, I get it. I know I have a lot of friends over there. They cover the professional ranks.
Right.
You get the Pacers and Colts there. That the Fever, that kind of stuff. They don't cover a lot of high school stuff. But I still remember the times that they did cover Brownsburg. After the games, going home and watching it, thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I wanted the schools, the athletes, and the parents to get that experience.
Yeah. Well, I remember when my daughter played volleyball or basketball, and there was something big that happened, particularly during a tournament. We would go at 10:30, 11 o'clock to people's homes, right?
Oh, yeah.
After the tournament.
Watch as a group?
And watch as a group.
Yeah.
For, what, minute and a half?
Yeah. Well,
2 minutes?
It depended on, it was like 3:30.
Yeah.
But like each segment or the Lagodi match could be 30, 45 seconds. It depended on how much I shut, but that kind of thing. But no, you're right. Like, I have had towns say, especially on Friday nights, like, we go to someone's house and we watch your whole show, that kind of stuff. So, like, when they say that, I just love it because the kids are getting the pub that they deserve.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on, okay? Or move back.
Okay.
You had mentioned Brownsburg.
Yep.
So we're going to get to know Rick Semmler now kind of from the ground up. So you're from Brownsburg. North of Indianapolis?
West
of Indianapolis?
West of Indianapolis.
Okay.
About, it's like 20 minutes from Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Okay.
About 25 minutes from downtown Indy.
All right. Let's talk about kind of, like I said, from the ground up, your parents. You want to talk about your parents a little bit?
Sure.
What do they do?
They're both still alive.
Okay,
thankfully.
good. Still with us?
Getting up there in age, but they're both still alive. They now live in Avon. So I was an only child.
Oh, okay.
So my mom was wonderful. I mean, she was the stay-at-home mom for a long time and took me to everything. I was very active as a kid, so took me to everything. My dad was, people talk about my work ethic, that's where I get it from. He did a couple jobs, and then he got into the car dealership business and was extremely successful. His final years, he owned his own auto lease place. I think he did cars at least 30 years. I can't remember the exact. It was a little bit longer, but extremely successful. So they provided for me everything I ever wanted and then some. So I get the motto, I'm an only child. I was spoiled.
Yep, it's all right.
A lot of only childs are.
I've got one of them.
A lot of only childs are that way. So not a bad way,
No.
but they're loved and taken care of. So
Yeah.
but that's my parents' background. Like I said, they're actively involved in my kids' stuff.
Is Brownsburg considered a suburb of Indianapolis or a little far away for that?
I would say now it's huge.
Yeah,
Like
that's what
when
I was going to ask. So when you were growing up, it was a lot different, right?
Well, it was big. I graduated when I was in high school. Brownsburg was 1,600.
1,600, okay.
So that was big.
That's the high school itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is big. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's like 3,500.
That's bigger than our town of Lagodi.
So yeah,
by
I'm
a
used
great
to the
deal.
big,
Yeah.
big school
Yeah.
atmosphere, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, but the small town school.
Oh yeah.
You
No,
know,
I love it all. I love it all.
I mean, because that's it for us.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
There,
oh yeah.
the basketball, there's baseball,
To do.
you know, what have you. No football in some of the areas.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, all right. So you grew up in Brownsburg. What type of things are you doing as a kid? I mean, are you involved in sports right away? Or
Yeah, I was involved in sports right away. I loved being outside. Like I never watched TV. I was up. My parents said I was just outside all the time. We lived in growing up. Kind of the neighborhood. It was like the biggest neighborhood in Brownsburg. So like millions of friends in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it was back in the day. This dates us. Kids won't understand this. You will. Like you rode your bike,
Yeah.
and if let's say you were gone that day and getting home, you just rode to the house that had the bikes out front, and everybody was there.
Yeah.
I mean that kind of stuff. But we had the neighborhood. Like we had a bike trail where we rode bikes, or football in the yard, or basketball, or hide and seek at night. And then a few of the families, including us, had pools, and when we got hot, and we went swimming, like that kind of stuff. So, but even our friends who didn't live in there, they were in our neighborhood, like that kind of stuff. So
I noticed some pictures, some attire of Cincinnati Reds. So you're
Oh,
a
yes.
Reds fan. How did you become a Reds fan?
because I grew up in Brownsburg, we went not a lot, but to several Indianapolis Indians games. And when the Indians were the Reds affiliate, so some of the Reds players were like playing for the Indians, that kind of
Back and
stuff. So
forth.
that's how the Reds affiliate. And I'd probably say more. I haven't been to Cubs and Cardinals games, but we probably went to more Cincinnati Reds games as a kid growing up. So
What did, say, 12-year-old Ricky Semmler, what did he want to do when he was growing up, when he was going to be grown up?
that's the thing. I love sports. I wanted to play basketball. Was my sport. I played tennis too, but basketball was my sport. And I dreamed I was going to go play in college, and I just stopped growing. So.
So you thought maybe even professional basketball player?
Oh, that was my dream.
I know.
that was the dream, and I played at Brownsburg, but I knew from a little age, like, probably sounds like a dork or nerd. Like I would sit sometimes at home, like, and practice with my scripts, being a sports broadcaster. I you hear people say that. I literally did that.
Yeah.
Like as a little kid, like I would read scores of the games and that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I wanted to be cover sports.
Yeah. I'd go one better. I had a tape recorder.
You're dating yourself, bud.
Oh yeah. A tape recorder is, well, we better not get into that. We'll be here for a while. But yeah, you're right. I am.
You are.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how I pictured you, actually.
That's-
the love of sports. You want to be around it.
Yeah.
So that's
I knew I
what
wouldn't play forever, and what's the next best thing?
Yeah.
Covering it.
So you said you were a basketball player in high school, right?
I ran cross country in middle school, and I was actually pretty good. I was like our third best runner. I could always, and I still run now. Can't tell by my physique, but getting old's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, hey, by the way, happy birthday to this guy today.
Yeah.
Looking great for his age, way better than me.
No, well, I'm a little way older than him.
But he looks way better, let me tell you.
Thank you, Rick.
But
Appreciate that.
so I ran cross country. Then I got into our basketball team believed in pressing, getting up and down.
Yeah.
So they had preseason conditioning. I didn't want to do preseason conditioning, so I actually went and played tennis. And I wasn't bad. Like I drove my coaches crazy because I would only show up to play tennis, and then once it was done, it was basketball. Like they're like, if you would pick up the racket more, you would be even better. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I get it, but basketball was everything. And I played JV as a freshman at Brownsburg, and I played my sophomore year varsity, 3 singles. But then I just stopped after that, devoted everything to basketball. It was AAU, it was basketball.
Yeah. Pretty successful?
We won 2 sectionals at Brownsburg. I was a role guy. I graduated with 8 seniors. And I was just a solid role player, usually off the bench. But it was whoever with 8 players and a lot of guards, whoever like, that game was hot. Like if I was hot that game, I got to play more. If I didn't, like my teammates did. But it was one of those things. Truly, our group for the majority of like the 6 of the 8 grew up together. We played from like 2nd grade on. So like it wasn't like if you didn't play, like you're mad. Like you always cheered each other on, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So,
but a school that big, don't you have to have tryouts?
Oh yeah,
At Lagodi, we don't know about tryouts. It's just
we had oh yeah, you have tons of kids try out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the varsity freshman JV team, or varsity JV freshman team. Said that backwards.
And you won a section or 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell people this so they can remember. I was the last year of 1 class basketball. My senior year was the first year of class basketball.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Who was your big rival?
Avon.
Brownsburg, Avon.
Brownsburg, Avon.
Yeah.
We enjoyed playing, like we played all the indie schools, like the Carmels, the Ben Davises. We enjoyed, like, I'll never forget this. My freshman year I wasn't on varsity, but our varsity team was ranked 3rd in the state like they were really good in one class. We went to Ben Davis, who was number 1, and they beat us by 30.
Well,
Like, and they had Mr. Basketball, Damon Frierson, Courtney James, who was going to Minnesota too. He wasn't Mr. Like, our team went to semi-state that year in one class. Like, they were really good, and but like, you played against some elite competition. Like, you know, we played against the Pikes and the Zionsvilles and that kind of stuff. Like, it's a whole. I mean,
yeah, it's different.
a whole new world. Like, but it makes you better. I mean, competition makes you better.
Yeah. So I can tell you had a passion for that. You really enjoyed those years, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What other activities did you do in high school, non-sports? Anything?
DECA. I don't know if you know what, like, the schools have that.
Yeah.
I did DECA. Made it to nationals. We went to Colorado for it.
I was trying to think what DECA meant, but I don't.
It's a business organization in school.
Okay.
You learn different business practices in school.
I should know that, but
No, you're fine. Not every school has it. So, so I did that, and like I said, I qualified. You go to state for it and qualified. My senior year, I got to go to Colorado for a week.
Okay.
But it teaches you like we ran a store in school, selling clothes, candy, like during lunch, like that kind of stuff. So it's a good way to learn.
Yeah. Was there a teacher that maybe he or she's watching that you felt particularly?
My 8th grade
good
teacher,
influence?
Mrs. Swingo.
Mrs. Swingo.
No one will ever forget her.
Okay.
I mean, she just great teacher, but just her love for students was great. Like, I mean, I remember, like, unfortunately, I talked to her on Facebook, so you lose touch with people a little bit. Like, but for like the longest time from high school to college, like we still talked. Like, all the kids would still stay in touch with her. Like, she just had a love of life that everybody loved. Like, she was just so popular.
Okay. Speaking of love, and those of you who watch this know that I invade Facebook pages, and I go way back with you. Man, you offered me more than I think anybody ever has. And the person you're with today must have been the love of your life early on.
Oh, high school sweethearts. Her freshman year, my sophomore year at Brownsburg, we were 15 and 16. So the joke was because we dated for 8 years, like we were to the point where it was almost a common marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the joke. But we both knew, not right away, but we both knew, obviously, like in love, like we were going to get married. But we both had our own goals, and like she was going to go to nursing, I was going to do we were going to get our degrees, we were going to do, this and that. So we weren't going to mess up, not mess up our lives, but we were going to get our stuff we needed to, and still we weren't going to get married until everything. So we did once we did with college.
Yeah, so you planned.
Oh yeah, we both knew what we wanted to do.
So it was after college when you got married?
Yeah, right after she graduated, the year after she graduated. So, oh yeah, we're coming up on 20 years next week.
20 years? Now
Married.
that's
28,
marriage.
Yeah,
Okay.
28 years together.
Yeah, wow.
So,
Wow.
oh yeah.
Okay.
And she'll tell you there's no one that drives her more crazy than me in the world. In a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
That's right, yeah.
So,
maybe our kids sometime. Yeah, maybe. We'll
I don't know.
talk.
She says I have 4 kids. She has 4 kids
Yeah. It sounds like she does.
with me.
And we'll talk about her. Robin.
Yes.
What was her maiden name?
Ware.
Robin Ware.
W-A-R-E. Robin Ware.
Okay, very good. So I get a little personal sometimes.
Oh, you're
just
fine.
Ask about the proposal. Were you the romantic type? Did you have a planned proposal, or in your case, because you guys were together for so long, it was just kind of implied?
I did have a planned proposal, and I took advantage of what I had. I did it on TV down in Hazard, Kentucky, my first job.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know you were in Hazard, Kentucky for your first job. We'll talk about that a little bit.
So we, on the proposal part, we got her good because she is fine, like, even though I'm in the spotlight, she's fine never in the spotlight if she doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Can get embarrassed easily. Not as much now, but back in the day, she could get embarrassed.
Yeah.
So we had good friends. Like, when I first started, like, all our friends thought it was the coolest thing in the world, me being on, like, they wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So we fooled her because another good couple friends of ours, they came down to Hazard to see me.
Okay.
And they're like, we want to see him on TV. She didn't know. So, like, they were in the studio with us. She thought they were just watching. Everybody in there, my other co-anchors and everybody, we set her up. And
Was this a real live broadcast?
it was a tape.
It was a tape broadcast.
Yes.
Okay.
If
If it didn't go well, you have an out. Yeah. Right?
I wouldn't do a tape because I more concerned about what she was just going to, not the no, but like, oh boy, like, like just being shocked.
Yeah.
So that's why we taped it, but it aired again later that night. But like I said, we were in the studio.
What were the words?
It was funny. I remember it. We did down there in Hazard. It was a play of the night, and my other co-anchors like, in our play of the night is Rick, and he looked at me and I was like, well, Robin, and I got out of the chair and went down and came over and
Oh my goodness.
and proposed.
gracious.
And like I said, the best thing I still remember to this day, because like she's just sitting there watching like normal, and when he's like that, and I get up, her face was like just shocked that.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my God, this yeah.
Does this tape exist today?
It's on VHS. Yeah,
It's on VHS? Okay.
it's on VHS. So
Okay. Now, you said that she was a little shy back then in regards to the limelight. As we talk about this, I'm showing some young love pictures probably right now, right? She's okay with that?
oh yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
She's gotten used to she's gotten used to everything over the years. So
Because you put it out there.
oh yeah, being called Rick's wife and all and people know she's used to it all now. So
All right. Backtrack a little bit. So you went to Ball State.
went to Ball State University.
Did she go along to Ball State?
She did for nursing.
Yeah.
She's a year behind me. I had looked at so many colleges. Like I said, I knew I wanted to do broadcasting, telecommunications, and I looked like Syracuse is number one in the country.
Syracuse.
Yeah, wasn't going where it's colder here. I'm sure you've seen. I've always loved warm weather. Have been toying with going for Florida for years, so I wasn't going to Syracuse. The more I looked though, and then found out, I just didn't realize that Ball State's like top 5 in the country in telecommunications, and I'm like, it's an hour away from home. Just
Right.
It doesn't make really much sense to go out of state, do all that stuff. So I went there. I mean, just an incredible. Had great. I mean, made a ton of friends. Had a great time. But in terms of telecommunications, I wouldn't be where I am today without going to Ball State. And I mean, it sounds like a promotional for them, but like, I literally walked into the job in Hazard as an intern. And I remember I filled in one night. They had one of their guys like mom unexpectedly passed away or something and like, can you do a tape segment of our morning sports for us? I'm like, sure. I did it. And when I was done, the news director at the time was like, well, you're doing it just as good as my guys. I'm like, well, I just did this for 4 years at Ball State.
Right.
They give you the hands-on experience that you walk out there, you're already doing the job.
Did they have a TV station?
Yes.
Campus TV.
They have a campus TV station. You have class, like it's pass fail. You learn to do this. You either can do it and pass and move on, or fail. Everything I did in the business, I was doing at Ball State.
So
and one of the big reasons I don't know if you know they're so successful is the equipment technology they have. David Letterman's a grad and has donated millions of dollars.
Right.
Like they have top of the line equipment at Ball State.
So you never considered anything else?
No,
Yeah. Plan B wasn't there?
no. Plan B was
And it
never.
hadn't had to be until now.
No.
Right?
At 44, I'm reevaluating life. How
We
about
all
that?
have a plan B sooner or later. You just happen to come a little bit later. Right?
Yes.
But that's fantastic. So right after Ball State, you got hired on in
I
Hazard,
did.
Kentucky?
So many awesome professors at Ball State. I tell this story, and I hope this can inspire anybody if they watch. I had a professor. He worked in like numerous big markets, like the top TV markets, as a news director. So he was blunt, very I loved him. But he told me, he's like, I think you're going to make it in this business, but you're not going to be an anchor. I don't think you can be an anchor. I don't think that's your best. He's like, maybe a sports producer, photographer, but you're just not going to make it as an anchor. And I was like, okay. And I think it was my sophomore year. Didn't take it I was like, I'll prove you wrong. 19
years old.
Yeah. I was like, I'll prove you wrong, but I appreciate we still stay in touch. He's like, you did it, you succeeded, and we still laugh about him telling me that I never and if it's a lesson, I never took it personal. I still talk to him to this day, still joke around about it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even wanting to prove him wrong. I mean, I did prove him wrong. It was just, I'm still going to go my course and do my thing and not let someone deter me from what I want to do.
Yeah. How Hazard, Kentucky?
So he was the one who told me, I enter in internships. I don't care what business you're in. Do internships. I did 3 in college. Best things I ever did.
Right.
So I did internships in college. And then I set it up because, again, I had my life planned out. Knew what I wanted to do. My second semester senior year at Ball State, I knew I was going to intern there, wherever at a TV station, and hopefully get a job. That was to prove them. So I literally, and that professor told me I couldn't do it. He's like, you need to go to a place that will let you do things, not just sit and watch, but actually hands-on. So I literally called probably 100 TV stations for 6 months. What can you intern here? Yes. What can you do? Well, you're only allowed to do this. Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Or I talked to some, you can, you can't anchor, but we'll let you do taped anchor segments. You can shoot our stuff for us behind this, pique my interest, that kind of. So I had narrowed it down to, and my parents were more than willing to help. Obviously going to move away, like wasn't making the income, like they helped. I had narrowed down to 3 places that were going to let me: South Bend, Indiana, a TV station up there, Abilene, Texas,
Okay.
and Hazard, Kentucky.
Okay.
I ended up doing Hazard because if people remember Jeremiah Johnson.
Yes, I do.
He worked here, does the Pacers.
Still with the Pacers.
Yep. A dear friend, we went to college together. That's how I met him. So he said, go to Hazard. Like, you're going to get hands-on. He's like, I guarantee you'll get a job. So I went to Hazard, completely hands-on, everything, did everything. I graduated in May, and in August, I had a job there as my first job.
Yeah. How long were you there?
13 months.
13 months. But so I had a similar route in telecommunications at Indiana State, radio for the most part. But so I know that when you have a plan out there that involves another person, because you already had that plan, and you go into the media like you and I are going, sometimes finances get in the way.
You're right.
So you had to have full support from,
You're right.
from
My parents were wonderful. Like I said, as an intern, they helped. I mean, I remember telling my dad my first job and what the pay, and he's like, "You went to school 4 years for that," and I was like, "It's going to get better." Like, and what's sad is Hazard. Like, I don't know if you know much about it. It's not the Dukes of Hazard. I had to ask that when I went there. That was in Georgia, not Kentucky, but this was in Eastern Kentucky. So southeastern Kentucky.
Just went through the terrible flood. What?
Yes, but it's mountains. That's all. It was a new experience for me. Like, a place could only be 10 minutes away, but you had to go around the mountain to get there, so it could take an hour. Like, it was an eye-opening experience. Didn't have a lot at the time. I'm not kidding you. Like, when it had it's gotten better, but it had like a Walmart TV station and Applebee's, and like Lexington was the next closest city, like that kind of thing. But I knew I had it. Like, my wife wasn't there at the time, or it was fiance, like all that. I worked 24/7. I knew I had to get better. I knew I had to do this. So, but it was a great experience. And then the joke with the money is, I made more money as I went along in the business through the years, and was able to take a comfortable living here. Yeah. But the joke is, if people know, my wife is a nurse, has done that for 20 years. She's been a travel nurse for the last year. She makes pretty good money, and I've always said, I'm not shy about it. We joke about it. She's my sugar mama. That's what I call her. Yeah. She makes the money. She pays the bills. My money's the play money, and I enjoy life.
And
so
that's a good combination.
Oh yeah, she like I said, her and I joke about it all the time. So
don't you feel guilty though now that you're getting all this love and support for being a broadcaster, and here she is a nurse, and how
amazing.
much appreciation does she? You know,
when we went through COVID, I mean, I already knew.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's just an amount of people, honestly, that she's taking care of so many families and babies in Terre Haute, and then they know, like when she's like, "Hi, I'm Robin Semmler," they connect the dots, and they'll tell me, "Your wife took care of me," and like she's the best nurse. Like, I mean, they all say that. Like, and she's always loved babies. She's mother baby. Like, she takes care of them after they're born. And, like, she loves the babies, and I love nothing more when people tell me how good of a nurse she is, because like she cares and she's an amazing nurse.
Yeah, that's why you get into it, right?
Oh yeah.
Hazard, Kentucky. Where do you go from there?
WTWO. And the joke was, we mentioned Jeremiah Johnson, went to college with him. He went to Hazard for a year. Essentially, I ended up taking his job.
And he went to Hazard?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he went to WTWO. Then when I was looking to move, he called me and said, "Hey, our third job at WTO is coming up, and you interested?" So I followed him here. So the joke was always, where Jeremiah was going, I was going. That was.
So the Pacers are next, folks.
Well, that's when he went to Indy, everybody was like, "When are you going to Indy?" So I never followed him on that route, because I took his job weekend, and then I ended up getting the sports director job here. But there was a little stretch where I was just following him around. So.
But you said you didn't apply at Channel 10. How did that come about?
I had been there for 6 years.
You've been at Channel 2 for 6 years?
2009, or 2003 through 2009. I was at Channel 2, loving life, not looking at anything. I was a weekend guy. Jason Pinsky, who was incredible, dear friend. We were working, and then out of the blue one day, I was at home, and the general manager at Channel 10, who's still there, we weren't home. He called and said, "Hey, this is so-and-so, and I had a few questions for you when you give me a call." And I called him back, and he said, he's like, "Are you under contract?" And I was like, "I'm actually not," which erases the non-compete. And he's like, "That's what I wanted to hear." He's like, "I'm interested in you being my next sports director." This was like in May. he's like, I'm going to call you about the end of June, and we're going to have a serious talk. And sure enough, he called back in June. And again, not knowing, I guess, the impact I have or the way people view me, he came to the house to do interviews. He didn't want anybody to see us out in public.
Okay.
Doing that kind of stuff. We talked. He essentially told me that WTHI Sports had struggled. They dropped it for a while. They had struggled. He's not getting what he wanted. He knew I was the guy. He wanted me. I could fix it, and he wanted me to fix it. Was I interested? So he gave me like a couple weeks to think about it. I mean, they offered. That was one of the hardest things, maybe even harder than losing my job, I'll be honest, because there are very few people in the TV business and people I respect more than Jason Penske. I would not be where I am today. Mm-hmm. I worked with him longer than anybody at WTWO for 6 years. He is so incredibly talented, and like the things he taught me.
Where's he today?
He's in South Bend with his family. Yeah, with his daughters. Okay. But he was incredible, and the job at 10, was Monday through Friday, better hours, more money, everything was good. Mm-hmm. But I had to leave Jason, and you could ask Robert. Like I struggle. Like she's like, what you need to do. Like I mean, not saying go do, but like what. Mm-hmm. Like I literally and my GM at 10 would tell you. I waited till like the final day to make the decision. Like I just struggled. And it's funny because I just got dumped or let go. Right. But like I'm a loyal person like that. Like I respect that. Like
yeah. I understand.
So like I took that and to this day, like unfortunately because the way the business goes and people move, like Jason and I still talk, but not like we're friends.
Right.
But we just don't see each other. Like he's in South Bend, I'm here. His girls are like 12 and 8 or something like that. Mine are a bit like, so we don't get to see. He's already reached out to me since this is like obviously, and we've talked. But yeah, that's how that all came about. And I sat out 6 weeks from WTWO to WTHI just until their guy left. And Todd was basically do what you want to do. Like, because I'm very straightforward. I was like, if you're going to be serious about this, like, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is who I am. Mm-hmm. Like, take it or leave it. Like, yeah. And he's like, no, it's what I want.
And did that want include just getting out more than what they already did and expanding the sports?
Covering everything, doing this and that. I mean, being feisty. I mean, like, I voiced my opinion. There were, he'll tell you, there were times he had to call me in the office, like, you can't do that. Like,
21 years, sure. Yeah.
That's what, like, and I'm like, I told you I'm going to say, I was like, was I wrong? No. Like, I was like, I'm going to do what's right. Like, I'm not here to please people, especially for kids. I'm always an advocate for kids over adults. Like, the kids don't ruin it for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, he let me do what I want to do, and literally when I walked in there in 2009, and the joke is people I still work with from THI from 2009 to now or recently, they were like, we didn't like you because we knew how aggressive you were and just how. But they're like, after we worked, like we understood you were here to do a job and you didn't care what like other people thought of you. You were here to do your job, and I was like, yeah, and like I'll benefit people like that kind of stuff. Like I'm not here to be mean, but I'm not here to. If you don't like it, I'm not here to like coddle you and do your like. I'm going to do what's best.
Yeah. So as I was telling my wife, 21 years, as a sports anchor in the same town.
Unheard of now.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Even I know it's in the Indianapolis market, maybe, but Bob Forbes. All right.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you.
No,
some of those,
Forbes and Penske did it 24 years.
Did he really? I didn't realize that.
He did it from like 91 to 2014 or something like that.
Okay.
But this area's been blessed to have a few people that have had long runs with it, and that's what I think this area makes this area so special. You have people that do long runs; they get attached to you, and they love and appreciate what you do. Yeah.
So, when I think of you, and we talked about the coverage that you give our area, we're Martin Davies County.
Oh yeah.
In all.
Not easy to get to, but you know what? Yeah. We're going to be there.
But I want to ask you. I told the other. Actually, it was on the air. We were doing a baseball game. Mike Ryder and I told you we were talking.
Oh, good old Mike.
Yeah, and I said, I think Rick Semmler might be the only person I wonder how can you be in the same place at the same time? Because you're a LaGodia and then you're on the air, like just like that. It seems like. Tell me how that transpires. What's a Friday night?
Oh, I love Friday nights.
During basketball, football. Let's go basketball for my sake. What's a Friday night look like for you?
When you do something long enough, you kind of like don't get bored, but like it's the same thing over and over. You got to find new creative ways. Never had to find a way to get pumped up for Friday nights.
So Friday night's go time.
Yes. Yeah. Like, and I told our station, the people did it from like 7 o'clock till 11:30 every Friday night. It was never the same. So like you could never get prepared. I knew I had a deadline. I had to be ready at 11:15. No matter what, you had to be ready at 11:15 or you're in trouble. Like, so like you asked about a typical Friday night. Now the important thing is, and I think people know this, couldn't have got all the games without the help of the crew that they gave us. And they were awesome. Like so many people, because they just did what I said. Like you're gonna go to 2 games, you're getting 3 highlights. Like and a highlight is a bucket. Like 3 highlights, and then you're moving on to the next game. Like an example, like okay, so Lagodi, Bar Reeve, and Washington are at home. Usually Washington starts later because they play like an Evansville teamer. So I'm like Lagodi start at 7:30, probably about 7:35 by the time national anthem. You're there a quarter, maybe not even a quarter. Like get down to Bar Reeve about late second or about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Shoot till halftime. Then you're going over to Washington to get like the late first half of that, like second quarter. Leave at halftime. You're back by 10. Here's the highlights I want cut. I'll write it when you get back. That's a general conversation I had with.
But how do you get those finals? You're there for, or they're there for 3 minutes getting that.
I had people at every game text me.
Okay.
Whether it was a scorebook operator, how many times I text you, and it wasn't so I could have I did report the score because I like to get it out, but it wasn't so I could be the first. Like I just want the information. Like how many times I text you stats. I love to pub kids up for stats. But that was a general, and then like I had people, or the other thing I did, plug for you, I scrolling through the radio on Friday night, so many times I'd listen to you or the Corsi at Bar Reeve or the people in Terre Haute or Waxy up, and I'm dialing through those games.
Just enough to get
Or if it was close, I was listening to the end of the game. I mean, and that's the thing, when you do it long enough, like when Bar Reeve's state championship and Lagodi's state championship run, like, hey, they're playing this team tonight. That's going to be a good finish. So, like, I want you to go to Bar Reeve game first because they're probably going to win big. Go to Lagodi second because I always tried to capture the moments.
Okay, all right.
That's how I did my Friday night. Like, even if it was backtracking a little bit, I tried to, whoever our photographers were, including me, you finish at the best game of the night. That was always the...
So it's got to be amazing, the technology that has changed since you got in. To today, because now it's instant. How do you get it today? How do you get the film? So you got Marty Ledbetter down at Lagodi. All right. You're in Terre Haute, or you're going?
Oh, it depends on the games.
Right. But how do you get that? Because I see him. He might be there at 9 o'clock. All right. And you, like you said, 11:15, whatever it is. Do you have to wait till he gets back, or does he email it to you? Or
if it's not Friday nights. We have a laptop editor. We edit everything on. You can send it back, so it's instantly back. You can get back. If it's Friday night, he'd have to drive back, and then it's just on you. Like you're editing as fast as you can. You're writing as fast as you can, getting everything in. And like I said, like you play sports. You're a competitor. Well, that was my competition. Like not against anybody else, myself. Like you're getting everything on.
You're that night you look back. Did I do whatever I could do to get the coverage to
I love the and there were so many Friday nights. My wife would tell you, even after like this past year, 21 years, I would do the show and then we had to do the web, all that stuff. But I would get home like at midnight, 12:15. I usually can't fall asleep till like 1:32. Like you're running, your juices are going all night. You can't calm down. Other nights it was never like that, but Friday nights still after 2 decades.
I can imagine.
Like there's just nothing like it. And there's so many times like we would walk out there on a Friday night, like I'd only have like a kid's name and a 3-pointer. I'd just ad-lib the rest of it because the behind the scenes people were wonderful over there. We were still getting video in. They would put the video on for us and we, like just ad-lib that kind of stuff.
You've obviously had a very cool assignment with Indiana State all year in basketball and baseball for the past few years.
Coach Hannes.
What's the coolest assignment you've ever had? Got a lot of places.
I mean, like obviously local matters, but like if you're talking just cool. Right. I mean, I did 3 Super Bowls. Like,
how do you get that gig? I mean, it's Terre Haute, right? I mean, how do you?
Well, officially, like I was at the Colts when they won in 06.
Okay, Colts.
So like the Colts did, and doing that, like I remember being at the game, like being there all week. It was Jason and I. Like, I'll never forget it. We'd never experienced anything like it. We went live from Miami for our broadcast. And they had us on the platform. It was like 3 layers up. So you could see the logo and everything in Miami. And they had like 50 media outlets just lined up. Like, as close as you. Like, I remember Chicago was next to us. And I would be going live like this, and they would be going live.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting here, like, CNN was on the other side of me. And I'm thinking, here's, like, what was it, 26-year-old Rick Semmler standing next to a Chicago station, CNN, and, like, oh, my God, like, but, like, that's how it was.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Jason and I did that all week. But, it's a sight to see. Like I said, local matters the most. But, like, when there's, like, 5,000 media of it, like, you got to do it once just to see. So I did that. I did the one Super Bowl in Indy, which was a bonus because Steve Weatherford from Terre Haute was in it. And him and I mean, just a dear, like, you talk about moments. When he made the NFL, he called me.
Did he really?
Like, that's how I broke it. He called his parents, and then he said, because I'd followed his journey and everything, like, just friends, and he called and was like, Rick, I'm in the airport. I'm like, okay, how'd your workout go? He's like, you're not going to believe it. I'm signing with them. Like, and I remember still his voice to this day telling me that, and I'm like, can I run it? Absolutely. You've done everything for, like, so, like, to cover him winning a Super Bowl, like, the Friday night before the Sunday game, he got to spend family night with his parents and sisters, brothers, and he's like, please, like, I went to their house with them, hung out with all, like, that kind of stuff. And then I did Peyton's last game in San Francisco.
Yeah, I remember you guys setting up in San Francisco.
We went out there and did that. So, I mean, other cool events, national state, like the Final Four, NCAA tournament, Daytona 500, Indy 500. Locally, nothing for me got better than when our teams played for state championships. Right. There were other really cool moments, but, like, to see the small towns or big towns, you know, at Lucas Oil Stadium or Gamebridge. Yeah, and you know what the best part of state championship time was?
What's that?
Not the actual game for me. Like, I loved to see them winning. I always covered them for practice. And to see the kids on that stage for the first time, their reaction was always priceless.
Just soaking it in.
Yes. Like, that was always, and so many times people might laugh, I snuck in because, like, they didn't want the media, like, they approved us, but, like, you had to jump through all these loops. Well, I remember always calling the coach, like, when they made state finals week, can I come in with you? Yep, they meet me. I get on the bus right outside the stadium, hop on, and they're like, well, what's he doing? And they're like, oh, yeah, he's part of our team. Yeah. And I go in that way with them. I did almost every team. And then, like, I'd fall back to the locker room, and then when they came on the court, just that reaction, whether it was the boys' team, girls' team, football teams, of walking on their cell phones, you know, getting everything, and, you know, or even I remember, like, several kids, I think it was Lagodi Rockville when they played. Yeah. And both teams came up there and they're like, all these tall buildings don't exist in Lagodi and Rock. Like, but to see the kids just get to live that experience.
I remember that game, 2012, Lagodi. And so I was doing the game on the radio.
Yes.
And I knew, of course, it was decided at the very end.
Final 30 seconds.
Yeah, very end. But I knew that the IHSAA, they like to get that first interview with the coach. Yeah. I got out there first.
Good.
I got Coach Wagner.
I should say should have there, but what you just said is something, and every organization does this. I always believe the hometown should get first. Right. You're there all the time.
I think they think they're putting it on.
I know, and I appreciate them putting it on and on that stage, but they're not there the other 364 days a year.
Once in a lifetime for some.
Yes. Yeah. And you're the one, even more so, like, I covered Lagodi, but you did it more than me. You deserve that, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, you're there every day. Like, you're invested in it, and people know you. Like, you earn that right. Like, every like local radio person, they should get the first right to it. Yeah. I don't like how they're kind of pushed aside a little bit. Like, they're the ones there all the time.
Yeah. Well, I got it.
You did. No, well, it doesn't surprise me because, I mean, I know you're doing this with me, but you do a good job. Yeah. I mean, that's why you deserve.
Yeah, thank you. You said platform a moment ago. Again, going back to Facebook.
Yeah.
You use a platform when you do sports?
Oh, yeah.
Because you and me about the same. But why? I mean, because I say that because, and I'm showing a picture or two right now. But why do you need a platform if you're
short
behind a desk?
Because the way I remember when we moved. Do you remember when we moved from WTHI? We moved buildings back in 2013. We moved TV stations, and then they did it. The sports setup they had, they didn't talk to, which they don't need to. But when I went to stand next to it, the TV monitor was like way up here, and I looked like I was like 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
like
I would too.
It looked horrible. Like, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like, And so like I had my box out and I stood up there and looked much tall. Like,
See, where else are you going to get this type of information, right?
And that's always been the running joke. Like, I mean, the Zellers family, so close. Like anybody's been tall with me, I make them sit down or I'm on my box. Like if you want to know an inside joke, my wife's a little bit taller than me. So she played volleyball, a little bit taller than me. At our wedding, my groomsmen, when she was coming down the aisle to just have fun, they stuck a couple Bibles in front of me and had me stand up on it to be as tall, and everybody just burst out laughing. And that's always been the joke to this day about my height. So
3 kids.
Yes.
3 very, very active kids.
Yes.
Tell me about them.
Love ironically, I always wanted kids, but like I wanted them, but I didn't, if that sounds bad. I did. I was never around kids growing up. So babies, ironically, my wife did it, scared me to death. And God bless, we had friends that they had a baby, and they didn't really have a babysitter when she went back to work. And my wife's like, we'll babysit for you, like for free. We didn't care. And they're like, are you serious? And my wife had a plan to make me comfortable with a baby. Like we did like 3 days a week.
Oh, she had a plan. Okay.
And ironically, like I grew so attached. They when she was 2, they moved because she was in TV business. They moved. We still keep in touch with them, but they moved out of town to Champaign, Illinois. And but like I grew so attached to her. Like we would hang out even when days we weren't babysitting. Like we'd take her. Like their parents understood. Like we just loved like. And so then when it came time, like. And I mean, I've been, everybody knows me as a sports broadcaster. There's nothing I take more pride in being a fan. Like obviously my wife is the most important thing in my life, my kids, nothing I take more pride in than being a dad. I was around good dads, my dad and other dads growing up, great dads. I don't know any different. And I know their dad's not involved in kids' life. It's hard for me to fathom that. But there's nothing I take more pride in than...
Yeah, when we talked about time. Morning's good, afternoon's not. I got a tennis match with my daughter at 3 o'clock.
And that's the thing that has been so wonderful. And kudos to my GM for letting me do this. I always did my job. But and one of the reasons, I'll be honest, I stayed this long, they let me do my schedule. As long as I covered everything, and I never didn't. I didn't miss my kids' stuff. And you can't put a price tag on their being there. And for my son, a lot of it, I coached a lot of his stuff because in Terre Haute, like they struggle a little bit in sport, like so they don't have feeder programs. But I coached his baseball team for like 6 years. I coached his basketball team for 3 years. I didn't want to. I wish someone else would have been able to do it, but like no one was doing it. Kids needed it, and I enjoyed like I mean, me and another dad have done it together over the years, and there's nothing we have our sons, and then we have like 10 other sons that I would go to bat for or do anything in the world for.
Okay. All right. So I've got some cute pictures of your kids too. They're good pictures. They're really good pictures. Very, very photogenic kids. But let's start with the smallest. Tell me about her.
Okay. Her name's Kennedy. She's a 5th grader, and her birthday is Friday. She'll be 11 years old.
11. Okay.
My wife, always kids. I love her to death. She's very cool. She's a daddy's girl. If she was our first child, my wife said we'd be a 1-child family. She presses mom's, but she tests mom. She's got her own personality. Very strong-willed. Smart as can be. My daughter, we'll get to in a second, is in line to be valedictorian at South, and my youngest has better test scores than her at that age in 5th grade. So it's scary because she's smart too smart for her own good. She plays softball. I mean, she's okay softball. She enjoys being on a team more than...
She's 11 years old.
Yeah. So, and we're fine with that.
She's an 11-year-old
Yes.
girl. Yeah.
So...
I've got one exact 11-year-old girl plays softball.
So she plays travel softball, so she keeps us busy with that. She's a lefty pitcher, lefty batter. So I got 2 lefties. My son coming up. Both my dad and my wife's dad were lefties, and my kids got that from them. So yeah, that's about her. My middle child, my son, is an 8th grader. He's 14. He keeps us the busiest. He's done everything over the years, every sport, but it is now down to basketball and baseball. He does travel for both. We have to scale back the travel basketball. I think he's a better basketball player right now. Baseball is going to take him further. He plays for an elite travel team in Indy. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's a decent left-handed, but like He's not bad, let's just say this, but I'm always on him in a good, like, to work, to get better.
You see potential that
Yes, but it's not going to
he's got
happen.
to work to get there.
Exactly. It's not going to happen if you don't
Right.
continue to.
How old is he?
14. 8th grader, getting ready to start high school next year.
His name is?
Austin.
Austin. All right.
So, like I said, he's had some successful years at basketball the last few years doing that. And I've had people ask, can he do AAU? But like his travel season, baseball just started, and he plays, we're in the middle, 3 tourneys in, and he plays 10 of the next 12 weekends. So, like, it just takes up his, and he plays with his travel team, has kids from like New Albany to Whiteland to Brownsburg. Moore's, like, he's on a state travel team. So
Crazy, isn't it?
he wanted to do it, and we got lucky because the team is based out of Mooresville, where they practice. It's Canes. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's Canes.
I've seen it.
We have 2 other families in the area on it, and we rotate driving. So, like, we don't drive every week, so it makes it so much more convenient, like, helpful.
Yeah.
So that he's your typical teenage boy. Sundays he's pleasant to be around, and other days, don't want to say kill him, but you don't get much out of him. So typical teenage boys. So
I got you.
And then my oldest is Savannah. She's a junior in high school. She is my child, but she is not my child. Lives and dies with her grades. Very, very important to her. As I said, she's a 4.0 student. She told us last week she got academic honors, and then they told her she's one of 10 left in her grade that has a 4.0 out of 450.
Out of 450.
Yeah. Thankfully, she takes after my wife. But she, tremendous pride. And we've never said anything to her about it. Like, she just takes tremendous pride in her school. And then she plays tennis. She always did it at a younger age. We just did it for fun. Like, she wasn't very good at that. Not Chris. She was out there. And then 6th grade is middle school here. She played number 1 JV, and all her friends made varsity. And we didn't say anything. We were but I knew it bothered her, and she walked off the court her final match of the year. Didn't go to the coach. She came straight to me, and said, "Okay, I'm ready to be serious because I want it more." Yeah. And I said, "Okay, if you are, then." And I said, I played tennis. I was so thrilled when she said that because her and I practice all the time. For like the next 3 years, her and I did, like, I put her through lessons, her and I lessons. This and that. She has her own coach now. But we went after it. And she got better, and the next 2 years played varsity in middle school, and then has played varsity tennis ever since her freshman year at South. She's made All-State. I get to brag about my kids for a change. I try not to, but she's made All-State. She's 49-19 and 49-18. Every loss of the 18 has been against ranked teams. South plays a really tough schedule.
Right.
She's beaten several ranked teams, 2 sectional champs or regional champs. Last year, a win away from state as doubles. She plays 1 doubles, loves it. So we take her over the years. She doesn't play much in Terre Haute. I realized quickly. And it's nothing against Terre Haute, but if you want your kids to be good, you got to put them against the best, right? Whether if you're in Lagodi or she plays a ton of matches in Indy. She goes up there and plays the Zionsvilles and the Carmels, and it's the only way to get better. Yeah. And I'll never forget. I told her the story when we first took her up to Indy, and she put a girl from Carmel, and she lost like 6-love. Got in the car, she was like in tears, like, "What are you making me do?" Like, It
is Carmel.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, she said, "You're not mad?" I was like, "You just played the best match you've ever played." And she said, "What?" And I said, "This is the purpose of this." And she said, "I lost 6-love." I was like, "You played great." Yeah. And then she realized shortly after she was getting better from it. Good. And then she has an amazing run, as I said. Not just her, she's a junior. 6 of the 7 spots on South's roster are juniors. And 5 have been starting since her freshman year.
Another state run, huh?
So they've been doing so it's fun to see.
So which of those 3 most likely would say, "Oh, Dad, why did you say that about me?"
Well, they're all used to Dad.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
So they're okay. They probably won't even watch that.
They're all used to Dad. That's a joke. They never watched me on TV.
Yeah.
They never.
Anymore.
Probably my son, to be honest. Like, he never. He's had a lot of success, and like I try to defer so he doesn't like. They're already on the spotlight because of my last name. Like, and I didn't put him on TV a lot.
Right.
But he's kind of always like he would have a big. He's had several big games over the years, and people are like, oh, and he's just like, yeah, so what? Let's move on. Like he would be if I said something.
Yeah.
Which ironically, I got a funny story.
Okay.
When my daughter first got in high school, she made varsity obviously right away, and tremendous success. And we covered tennis 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, it's not as popular. I can say that I have a kid that plays it. Just not as popular as basketball and baseball and football. Like. So I didn't show her first couple times, and she was doing really well. And Patrice stopped me after a show and said, "Isn't your daughter doing really good?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Why is she not on TV?" And I said, "No, she just doesn't need to." And she put, "You better put her blank on TV. She deserves it just like any other athlete." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'll take care of that." Yeah. But that's how Patrice is. She's like, she wants everybody to be treated the same, and like.
Oh, that's cool.
But she's like, "You better take care of her just like you do every other athlete." Yeah. So
you talked about options on Facebook, and you said, don't know right now whether it's going to be in or out of the Wabash Valley. You can't go out of the Wabash Valley, can you?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, obviously, I've never shied away.
This is home.
This is home. Right. This is home. We got to do what's best for the 3 of them. Which, ironically, going into next year, I have a senior in high school, one starting high school. Yeah. So we're trying to decide. My son hears all because he plays with so many people around the state and sees what they have at their schools that we don't have here. Okay. So that piques his interest. I'm not gonna lie, I have not looked at anything yet. It starts this week of looking at jobs, even though I've had several contact me. If something nice that interests me opened in Florida, I would seriously consider. That is one thing that warm weather.
But it has to be only for the winter.
That's will draw me. Right. Other than that, like I said, we're just trying to keep. My wife can go anywhere, which is wonderful. Yeah. My daughter's, she'll be going to college soon. So I don't have an answer for that. I mean, we have to do what's best for us.
I think at your age, you're really kind of at the peak of your professional age. So you could do anything. And unlike me, people might say, "Oh, you're too old."
I get it.
Do that. So,
I get it.
Yeah. So you're fortunate there.
Yes.
That maybe this happened when it happened. You've been able to build this incredible, which I didn't even know, Rick, until this happened. You didn't even know.
No.
This incredible response. And I have no question. You'll be better off. I can't say you'll enjoy yourself more because you've had a blast.
Oh yeah. Never, as I told, I've never worked a day in my life. Yeah. And I'm 44 years old. I mean, and it's not a lie. Yeah. When you enjoy what you do, you don't work.
So what is it, maybe, Rick, that we haven't talked about that you would like to, or it's kind of your forum, anything at all that you want to take in the final minutes here?
I mean, you did a good job covering everything. I mean, like I said, I just want people to know that, and they do, from the outpouring. I loved what I did. I worked my way up from the bottom, and I had a tremendous run. I took tremendous pride. I guess one thing I want people to know is, like the Wabash Valley, whether it was, like again, Shoals, the KZ Westfield, the Robinson, the Greencastle, the Putnam, and everybody in between. Like, when they play the indie schools, like people looked at, oh, that's just a tiny school over there. Like, I wanted people to know about our area. That's why, did I tweet too much? Probably. I put tons of information on Twitter or Facebook. I wanted people to know about our area. I didn't want them to look down on them. I wanted the kids to get the same pub, even more that they're getting in indie or big towns. Because the kids, families, schools, they deserve it. And that's what I try to provide.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And you'll get this, and the people in our area will get this. Others, that's fine. But it's just somebody else that you did something for. Look in the camera. Say hi to Cam Callison.
Yes, Cam Callison. Yeah. I met him at Lagodi Bar Reeve game. It was the triple overtime game.
Oh, well, there's been a few of those. But yeah.
What was it? It was the one that in the double overtime, the ball bounced on the rim. Yeah. Was it 13? No.
It didn't go our way.
Yes. Yeah. I can't remember the year, but Cam come up to me, met him, awesome guy, awesome young man. It was great. I saw his mom post a message. And that's the stuff that,
because he's had his struggles, wise, and
it got me.
And apparently he loves to watch you, and he'll get a kick out of that.
No, Cam, it was awesome to meet you. I'm glad you still remember me. I mean, that's our encounter. So I hope you're doing good, and it was awesome to see that Facebook memory.
Well, it was awesome today, Rick.
Hey,
I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thanks for doing the time. And like I said, you'll continue to be around, and Lagoti's in great hands with you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot. I don't know about that, but well, that's an interesting getting to know your Indiana neighbor. The timing more than anything, because like if we would have done this a year ago, it'd have been much more boring.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes, I agree.
But here we are a year later, and he's got a little time on his hands, but it won't last long. So we appreciate you watching as always. This episode of Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor. Thanks a lot.